Hey guys, Andy back here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you, of course, some more Skaventide. You guys have been really enjoying the content that I've been producing for this particular box set, and I want to make sure that I do cover all the bases. This is, of course, the launch box for the new 4th edition Age of Sigmar, and there's going to be thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people picking up this box set. And I really do not like the idea of some people picking up this box set, looking at some of the models inside of it and getting overwhelmed or intimidated and not wanting to be able to paint it. So I'm doing my very best to give you guys as many painting videos as humanly possible. Really easy, quick, accessible videos to help you guys out. You guys really like the Gnaw Beast that I did earlier this week on the Skaven channel. That really worked out. And I just wanted to make sure that I could follow that up with the Stormcast one. Because obviously the boss, the Lord Vigilant on Gryph Stalker miniature, is of course one of the most intimidating looking miniatures inside of the set. And I will break down those barriers and help you get it painted. So what I'm going to do today is, I'm not going to paint the guy on top. He's just a Stormcast. I've shown you a million ways to paint Stormcast, how to paint the armor, how to paint the gold, how to paint the silver. I'm going to focus today on just the Gryph Stalker. Make it as easy as possible. So by the end of this video, you will know how to paint up a beautiful Gryph Stalker very quickly. And then you can take any of the Stormcast schemes that I have done so far on this channel and plonk it on top. Simple as. If you guys want me to push it further, do a second video and paint up the guy on top as its own thing, I'm more than happy to accommodate you guys. Just let me know in the comments below. But without further ado, let's dive in and get this Gryph Stalker painted up. Okay, this is the Gryph Stalker with the Lord Vigilant on top of it. As you can see, it is obviously the centerpiece miniature for the Stormcast side of the new box set. It's glorious, great open pose, really fun to paint. And I'm going to show you guys how I painted the Gryph Stalker in a very easy way. So we're going to start with Skeleton Horde. And Skeleton Horde is going to be used for all of the tight fur that there is on the miniature. Obviously, he's got a lot of feathers and a lot of stuff like that. But then any of the other like tighter skin, we are going to go for with the Skeleton Horde. So think about like what a lion's mane looks like. I'd imagine that his skin and tail and legs and stuff are that kind of color and that kind of skin and that kind of tight fur. So Skeleton Horde is a perfect choice for getting first base coat on that guy. Like I said, you don't need to worry too much about that. We're going to be going on with darker colors for pretty much everything else. So if you overshoot the mark a little bit with this, it doesn't matter. It is a-okay. All I will say is if you can do your best to try and avoid blotching, which means I'd like you to take this a little bit slower. Applying contrast is not just kind of slop it on with a large brush and away you go. I always find a smaller brush, not a small brush, just smaller than like the wash brush, what they sell as a shade brush, I think is too big. You get a little bit better control and you can stop it from pooling anywhere where you don't want it to pool. And this is all the areas. I added a little bit around his eyes and where his horns meet the top of his head. I went for that smaller color as well. We went in then for the rattling grime and we applied this all over the feathers and fur. Oh, sorry, not the fur. All over the feathers and his big like neck mane and then like the poofy bit on the end of his tail as well. This is a really dark color and it's a really nice contrast between the first color and the second color. This beast, this creature, this Gryph Stalker is only really these two primary colors. After that, all there is detail, like, you know, his claws and teeth and all those kind of bits and pieces. Well, he's a beak, so he doesn't really have teeth, I don't think. But do things have beaks and teeth? I don't think so. So he's got a beak. And then obviously he's wearing some armor and stuff along the front. But as you can see, I'm just trying to be careful not to hit any of those pale colors we did for the first. This is where we have to become a little bit more careful with our positioning. We do not want to get any of that Skeleton Horde area with this really dark brown. Obviously you want to blend the colors in together a little bit. So where they meet, you can go for a little kind of scratchy line. It will work a treat doing that. And then of course the giant mane across his awesome big head. We're going to do that same dark brown color as well. Like I said, just take your time, try and avoid any pooling. And once you have these two kind of primary colors on, that's the main part of the beast kind of blocked in. And instead of spending hours layering up each individual feather or trying to find the right layer color for the tight skin, all I'm going to do is grab Ushapti Bone. And what I'm going to do with Ushapti Bone is I'm going to dry brush over both of those parts. I've got a nice big flat dry brush, soft bristled. I'm going to apply some of the Ushapti Bone to that, remove the majority of it So as I'm dry brushing, I am imparting a very little paint. You can obviously go as many passes as you want to build up the tone or build up the color, but you don't want to have any blotchy paint on it and then smear it across your model. That's not the effect you're going for. Dry brushing is the key. This will highlight both of those colors really well. It's a very simple technique, and it also helps those two colors kind of blend together. Like I said, it's kind of more intricate than you think. You're going to spend some time, like I said, doing multiple passes on each area with very little paint on the brush. It will give you a very smooth transition, a very nice dry brush across the piece. And because we haven't painted anything else yet, it does not matter where the paint goes. It doesn't matter if I hit the model or like I said, the armored columns or anything else. It's not done yet, so don't worry about it. And it's a really pale color, so if it does hit off anything else, you can contrast over it anyway, and it's going to be fine. From here, I'm going to grab a little bit of Basilicanum Grey, and I'm going to just throw this over the rock formation on the base. That's all I'm going to do with that until we get to the bit where we're dry brushing the basing material later on, and then we'll help blend that rock into the base. And this is what I'm talking about. People fear painting, and there's so many things out there that can, I don't know, make you fear painting. Even the Games Workshop examples of this miniature online are just, like the Envy Metal Team models are stunning. They're incredible works of art. But sometimes it can make the model seem very daunting for people to paint. I know I have suffered with that in the past, and I hate that people feel that way. So I'm trying my best to alleviate those fears and teach you guys how to paint in a very easy and accessible way. I've got some Dark Earth diorama paste from AK Interactive. Same idea as like Sterling Battlemire if you're using Games Workshop texture paste. It's just a really big pot of it for a really good price. I've only bought 2 pots of that in my life, and I've done hundreds and hundreds of miniatures. Bad filming here. I do apologize, but I was trying to get it in amongst his feet without hitting any of it. So brown texture paste, not going to wait for that to dry. I'm going to just start working on something else. So here is where I make a mistake. It's okay. Mistakes happen. It's painting. You can always paint over a mistake. So I give him a yellow beak, which wasn't in the example online, but I quite like yellow beaks. I think it makes it look a little bit more avian. Looks really cool. Happy with that. I then decided to do yellow claws as well. Terrible idea. Made him look like he got his nails painted in the salon. And I kind of sat there while I did 2 or 3 other steps, and I kept looking at it being like, something's wrong now. And when I realized it was his yellow talons, they look ridiculous. I'm using Black Legion now, and I paint the horns up the back of his head and a solid nice black coat, but because we have the grey seer underneath. For anyone out there curious, by the way, I did not mention, I sprayed the model Chaos Black, and then I gave it a zenithal spray with grey seer. Well, that's a brilliant place to start any contrast work with. Because the horns are done in that color scheme with those basings, we just get to throw Black Legion over the top of it, and it looks fantastic. Now, this paint sat on my palette for like another step or 2, and then I realized how much I hated the yellow claws. So you will just notice at one step those claws magically turn black. It's because that's what I did. I painted over them with the black because I didn't like them. Okay, some Agros Dunes for the parchment that's hanging down, the kind of like purity seal if you've done any Space Marine stuff from the armored bit. Now, I wasn't planning on doing any of the armor bits because I figured that's kind of the same techniques you would use to paint the space, or the Stormcast, sorry. But I was like, no, I want the Gryph Stalker to look finished by the end of this video. So I am going to paint the armored panels on the front of them. So we did some Agros Dunes on any of the scroll work and any of the parchment bits hanging down. Then we grabbed Retributor Armor Gold, which obviously going to make up a huge part of the Stormcast armor. But if you are doing a colored Stormcast, so if you want to do the blue ones or the pink ones or whatever the armor color is, then perhaps the armor plate that's on the front of this beast here will change to match that. So make sure you think about that before you paint it. After that, we threw in some lead belcher. Now, the lead belcher is actually something you can't really see, but he does have like a chainmail bit that covers the belly of the entire beast. Really sensible if this thing is charging across the battlefield, stamping on people. We don't want anyone getting any lucky spear thrusts up and killing this poor beastie. So he is protected underneath with a nice bit of chainmail. We just got a bit of lead belcher over the top of that. Okay, with all those kind of base coats in place, and you've noticed his claws and nails have turned black, that is a-okay. We're going to grab some Reikland Flesh Shade and apply this to all of the bits that aren't the beastie. So not those 2 brown colors, the light tan and the brown color fur. We're going to leave those as they are. But the rest of the bits that we've just painted, we're going to give a nice coat of Reikland Flesh Shade. It's going to shade the gold beautifully. The parchment is going to look great. I'm even going to go over his beak. It's going to darken that down a little bit. And a nice bit of shade work. Obviously, the gold can end up looking a little bit gaudy, and throwing this kind of shade on top of it really helps to kind of tone it down a little bit and give us a beautiful place to start highlighting up from. Okay, so once that shade is fully dry, we grab some Iron Breaker and we're using this to highlight the gold. And all I'm doing is little bits of touch highlight, any of the sharp areas, little bits here and there. If you've got a small dry brush and you think you can control it, you can by all means give it a really light dry brush over the Iron Breaker and it will do a great job. But of course you will probably stain the parchment work on the front and you don't want to hit any of the fur, but that's the kind of idea. Wherever you think a dry brush would catch when passing over this bit is where we want to put a little bit of a touch of silver. So just raised areas, and it's going to make that gold really pop off the piece. Like I said, I'm not going to be focusing on the guy on top at all. I'm not going to be throwing any paint on him. He's going to be left pure white. And I will paint him myself either on a Twitch stream. I do stream on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday evening, 8 to 10 p.m. Irish time. So if you're ever curious, you want to drop by, meet a great community of people, keep yourself accountable doing some painting each week, then please do drop by. But yeah, I might paint this guy on top during that, unless there's a lot of want for him to be a video. So if I get a million comments on this video saying, can you please finish this guy off, do a part 2 and paint up the rider, I will do that for you guys. Morghast Bone was brought in then to highlight all of the parchment bits and the scroll work across the front. Now, that dark earth texture that we did, after that, all I'm going to do is dry brush it orange. I'm using Ryza Rust, which is just a bright orange. If you have any orange that suits Ryza Rust, go for it. I'm not being careful. I'm aiming for the stonework as well, so that it kind of blends into the base. Then I've grabbed a bone color. I used Ushapti bone, but any kind of bony color will do. And I'm going to lightly dry brush across the base on top of that. And once again, making sure to hit the stonework. Once again, it helps to blend those two things together, the dark mud. Like, you're not going to have this like pristine boulder in a muddy field. That doesn't make any sense. It's going to be a nice, dirty old rock. After that, we are going to rim the base black. I usually do 2 thin coats of this, making sure it dries fully in between to get a nice pure black coat. And then after that, all we're going to do is touch up the beak. So Averland Sunset was used for a very quick highlight across the beak. These are just the kind of final few details on the piece. We have things like the beak and some little bit of work we want to do on the eyes. We don't want to go crazy. We don't want to make these colors like jump out and scream at you. That's not the primary focus of the piece, unless you want it to be. Obviously, you can push it a little bit further if you want. Some Fist on Red was used for the eyes. Give them some nice red eyes. You can choose a different color if you so wish. Your model, your eyes. But I like the idea of the kind of red beady eyes on a beast like this. Somehow some kind of sea at night. He is a Gryph Stalker after all. Stalker indicates that he's some sort of predator that likes hunting. Added some grass tufts to the base, and then, yeah, there you go. There's a finished painted Gryph Stalker. I would like to know in the comments if there is a single step inside of this tutorial that you think, after watching it, that you can't do. I've tried to make it as simple and easy as possible and still get what I find is a really nice result. I think that Gryph Stalker looks ace, and I can picture the guy on top of it being fully painted and it looking awesome. So I'm going to put this down as a successful video. I hope that these videos have been helping you on your journey to paint up your entire Skaventide box set. Please let me know how you found them, and do let me know what other videos you want to see from the box set. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. Please do listen to the outro. There's some important stuff in there, and it means the world to me if you'd stick to the very, very end. Okay guys, we have our finished Gryph Stalker. Obviously the Lord Vigilant on top needs a coat of paint, but as it stands, I think this thing looks ace. And as you've seen, like, the skin on the beast was a contrast for the feathers, a contrast for the skin, and a dry brush. And then we just painted up some details on top of that. It doesn't get much easier than that, guys. And you can get really nice results. There will be a million creators out there showing you videos on painting these up into world-class levels. And those videos are fantastic. They are, in my opinion, inspiring, but I don't think they're very educational for a lot of us. I don't think we can strive to match those painting videos. And sometimes they can do the complete opposite and kind of scare us. I know it's happened to me before. It has turned me away from wanting a miniature because I simply could not keep up with the steps another creator was showing. So hopefully this will help that particular group of people that just want to get some nice miniatures on the table. Okay, if you enjoyed this video, do the usual things that support creators. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. I know they seem like buzzwords to you, but they really do make all the difference on a channel's growth and success. It takes 2 seconds of your day and costs you not a penny. But if you do have a penny to spare and you want to help me out even further, there's links to things like my Patreon down below, or you can check out affiliate links, which I have for things like Element Games. You can order up your box set from them. it will cost you not a penny more. In fact, you probably save about 15% from Element Games, and I'll get a little kickback as well. So it's a win-win. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one.